Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
A weekly podcast and YouTube channel where we discuss all things Wrexham AFC from the point of view of long-term fans and new fans.
So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in. Hello and welcome to episode 64 of Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC. Been a right busy week this week. We've got loads to talk about this week. Just wanted to touch on a few things. Obviously, we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and we got a lot of well done messages. Just wanted to run through some of them. J Raw, let me just go ahead and grab the first comment. Hello from America. Congrats on the 1K. Mr. Terry Rat, well deserved. Alex Campbell, 1K subscribers, no resting on your laurels. Andy Jasper, congratulations on hitting 1,000. Welsh Wonder Kids, 1K subscribers, congratulations and well done, Ryan and Shan. 775OPW, another great episode, congratulations on getting to the 1K subscribers. The Local Pundit, well done, 1K. Red Card Lucha, congrats on the 1K. I think they say the first 1,000 is the hardest. Congrats and well-deserved success.
How true is that?
There is more. Silvio Fancy Boy, congratulations. Jennifer Wisty, congrats on 1K. Michael Smith, congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. Here's to the next 10,000 he's written. That'll be nice. Yeah, I'll do that. Dale Litton said well deserved, and Daisha said congratulations. There was more. There was more than that, but we'll just, we.
I think you get the point.
You get the gist.
You get the gist.
So guests.
We have got two amazing guests on today.
We're not messing about.
No.
We're not messing about. Not midway through. We're getting them straight on.
Straight on. They're going to be here with us for the full episode.
Yes, exciting.
Yes. So, without further ado, let me introduce Chris and Adrian, a.k.a. Two Beards. Hello, guys.
G'day, guys.
Hey, how we doing?
How we going?
I've just got to say one thing before we start. You two are the first, the only guests to have appeared on our show twice. You are the only ones.
I feel special.
Okay.
I feel really special.
Good, you should.
Yeah, you should.
We're going to have to go for a third.
Yeah. It means one or two things, I suppose. It means you're really good as guests, or we've got a bit desperate and we're rebooking people.
I feel like it's the desperate part, but I appreciate the love anyways.
No, we do. We love you. We absolutely love you too. You're awesome, and we are so chuffed to have you back on.
We're going to do a double promo for you guys. So to start us off, tell everyone where they can find your podcast, and then we'll do it at the end as well. So you get two lots of
double
exposure.
Bubble.
Double bubble, yeah, as we say over here.
You go the first one, Rousey, I reckon. I'll do the last one.
All right. So we got our YouTube channel is at Two Beards Media, or search Two Beards a podcast and Wrexham AFC. And we also post stuff through our webpage as well at twobeardsmedia.com.
Brilliant. And I would highly recommend anybody who hasn't checked these two out already to do so, because they are
100%.
fabulous. I have a little joke, but we would not have people on this podcast twice if we didn't think I was going to say worthy. No, that's not right. But if we didn't think that it merited having someone on twice, we certainly wouldn't be doing it for a laugh. Adrian, let's start with you. You had a little cameo on Welcome to Wrexham. So how did that come about?
Yeah, it was my literal 2 seconds of fame. Probably not even 2 seconds. I want to say 1.8 seconds. I think I timed it. But look, it came about. I created the Australian Wrexham supporters Twitter page, X page, whatever we want to call it, and one of the producers reached out to me and said, "Hey, we'd love to speak with you on how you're going watching the games at these times, and we'll see how we go." And I kind of thought it was a spam bot or something. I was like, but I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? I rock up to this Zoom call and someone goes, "You got punked," or it's actually the real thing. So it was nice. It was the real thing. And I talked to who I talk to consistently now, one of the producers. And yeah, I've sent a lot of content throughout the year last year. So we'll see if anything else pops up. But I'm just happy with that 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, it was. We were watching it, and I was like, "That was Adrian. That was. I'm sure that was Adrian." We had to go back, and I was like, "It bloody is Adrian." And it was like, "You new fans coming over here, stealing our spots on our documentary. Exactly. Where were you? Where were you in 2008 on a cold Tuesday night against Altrincham?" Yeah, no, it was great. It's great. So we might see more of you then, maybe.
Possibly. Yeah, I sent a lot of content. What's hilarious is the bit that they put in, that was actually from the Sheffield United watch. So just a little tidbit there that obviously the timelines can sometimes be a little bit skew this season. So maybe I'll come back later on with more of that content.
Chris, how do you feel that he's done I know it was before you two sort of knew each other, but what's it like having him pop up on his own somewhere else?
It's great. It's great because I got more content.
He
to
quit the
pull
pod
piss out of him with. No, I thought I mean, I saw it all going up on Twitter, and Adrian mentioned it a little bit beforehand that he might be on one of the on the episodes, and he's, you know, he tried to be like, "Oh, you know, just let you know this is going to happen." I'm like, "I don't care. It's all good. You know, this is great for you." And then I saw it, and it was one of those moments where you just like, "Oh," I jump around the room, and he's like, "Yeah, that's my boy. Get in it."
The message I got was quite vile, to be honest.
Talking about the documentary, so we had another 2 episodes this week. So the first of them was Sean's vacation, which it was quite a comic episode. I think, you know, it was, you know, they you know, they try and have one sort of quite funny episode, don't they?
Yeah.
But I think it very much highlighted the importance of Sean Harvey at the club.
Yep.
And how much he actually does for Wrexham. Do you sort of agree with that?
I think so. Because I mean, Fleur tends to take very much of a back seat. Doesn't like the limelight. Doesn't ever get in front of the cameras. I mean, don't think I've even seen an interview with her for quite some time. So I know she doesn't get involved in that sort of stuff. It's so obviously someone's got to, and I guess that person was Sean. So I think, you know, maybe it's a case where they both sort of doing the same thing, or he's trying to relay Fleur's message. But I mean, you can sort of see that they're going in the avenue of, like, Rob and Ryan, they're like the children, and they're, you know, in this big playground type thing. I think they're accentuating that a fair bit, which it's good. It's wholesome, just wholesome family fun.
Obviously there was quite a lot of points, you know, that they had to interrupt Sean on. Well, I say they. Humphrey was calling Sean whilst he was on holiday. Obviously you've got the blimp escapade.
Yeah.
Which I think was hilarious, but obviously, you know, Rob had broken quite a few rules, which was a bit...
Well, not just rules, laws.
Yeah, laws. Like the Welsh aviation rules and laws. Yeah, that was a bit of a big one. But I think the biggest thing that had to be dealt with from Sean whilst he was away was Mullingate, or Bootgate, should we call it?
Yeah.
So obviously when that came out... you know, about the picture on Twitter, and then Ryan liked the picture on Instagram, so it kind of blew up again. When you saw that kind of unraveling, what did you think? Did you think good on you, Paul, or did you think, ooh, maybe you know, maybe steer from politics?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rousey and I on our pod have made it quite obvious that we back Paul Mullen in any decision he makes. You know, he's the Church of Mullen. You know, we kind of got to pay homage to what he wants to do. But I do understand where Sean's coming from, in the sense that you had Wrexham in the background of the photo. You let them into the race course, and we're needing funding for this cop. And now I'm starting to think, maybe not so much, but possibly that's what stopped the funding, what possibly held it in place, because we had these Tories come out to showcase this little pitch that we were doing, and then all of a sudden we kind of spat in their general direction, and it didn't really work out. So yeah, but I must admit, I love that Paul then went, no problem, I understand, took it down, and then he re-put it back up again, just not in Wrexham. So I actually quite appreciated that.
I respect anyone that is firm in their views, no matter what that view is. I mean, it might be wrong, or it's just opinions at the end of the day, isn't it? So like with looking at like guys like James McLean, a lot of people pile on to him, but that guy's like a stand-up bloke. And, if you got to sort of understand the reasons behind why he said what he said, 12, 13 years ago, and still getting dragged over the coals for it. But, Paul Mullen, good on him, standing up for what he believes in, said what he said. Like, yeah, he probably did the wrong thing with keeping Wrexham in the background, but he had no intention of it being anything but as just showing off his shoes and his passion for being anti-Tory, I guess. But I don't know, my brain's still stuck on the actor Sean that was in his Budgie Smugglers.
Yeah, they were some budgie smugglers, weren't they?
Oh yeah, I felt that was like a nod to the Australian fans, because that's an Australian term, is budgie smuggler, and they had the speedos with budgies on.
I told Rousey, I said that was much better representation than having me on for 1.8 seconds, was having Sean Harvey and a budgie smuggler. That's more Australian than an Australian being in the doco. So no, kudos to the team for doing that.
The other episode I found a little odd, in the sense of it very much focused. It was called First Losers, wasn't it? And it sort of focused, Rob sort of introduced it in the sense of all the teams he sort of follows or is involved with finished second in the particular season that we're talking about. Wrexham in the National League, Wrexham in the FA Trophy, the Wrexham Women, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Union, and also the baseball team who were in the World Series, who I can't remember. The Phillies. I think they're just called the Phillies. Anyway. Yeah, the Phillies, yeah. Yeah. And I found it quite an odd episode in a way, that sort of, we had Susan Lucci, who was...
That was so random.
An actress that, I'll be honest, I have never heard of, who'd finished second, for an award numerous times. But we spent quite a lot of time. It was only a 19, 20-minute episode, but we had about 5 minutes, so about a quarter of it was about Susan Lucci. And I know this documentary isn't necessarily for us, the locals. It's about creating an exposure around the world and for Americans, and you need to incorporate certain American things within that documentary. What did you think of the second episode this week, though? What was your sort of take on it? Chris, I'll come to you first.
I was a little bit torn. When we gave it our little ratings, I originally gave it a lower rating, but then obviously because of the Jacob Mendy story, that bumped it up for me. But yeah, Susan Lucci thing, I had no idea who she was. I think they probably might have been better off going with like Leonardo DiCaprio and his run to try and get an Oscar. But yeah, it was just strange, but you can tell that they're obviously pandering more towards the American audience, because they're going to know who Susan Lucci is. And from what I understand, she's fairly prominent in the daytime soap opera series, and she might have an OnlyFans or something. I don't know, but
she needed it boosting or something.
Yeah, so it's it was. I don't think it was that much time was needed on it. Because there was no way it was connected to Wrexham, and that's what's probably dragged it down a little bit for me.
Definitely. I mean, what do you make of Series 2 so far? I mean, Season 1 got, such big sort of plaudits from everyone, from some just, bog standard watchers to critics, everyone seemed to love it. Season 2 isn't perhaps getting the rave reviews that Season 1 has so far, but what do you make of it so far?
It's something that I'm trying to give benefit of the doubt of the fact that we are only a couple of episodes in, and when you look at Welcome to Wrexham Season 1, there were actually a lot of episodes that kind of derailed, I guess, the traction of what was happening, and so I kind of saw that in Season 1. So now it's happening again in Season 2. Maybe they're just trying to get it out of the way and then it can get straight into the chase. I'm not sure. I'm very intrigued to see how the next 2 episodes go, because if it doesn't come back on track, I would suggest that maybe it is not going to be as good as what the Season 1 was. But in saying that, I think the best episode has been in Season 2, and that was Millie's episode. That's something for me that will win Emmys. It will win Emmys for that episode, not just for the story that it tells, but the way that they amalgamated the 2 stories of Paul Mullen and his son, and obviously Millie going through what she's going through with her mum as well. I loved the side-by-side juxtaposition, which was really cool.
I'd love for Millie to walk the red carpet and get an award. Absolutely.
That would be cool if she could do that.
I think we should start a petition.
Yeah.
Get Millie an Oscar or whatever, an Emmy, whatever she needs. Let's just get it. So let's talk about Crewe Alexandra now.
Yes, let's talk about Crewe. Let's put the documentary to one side.
Yes. So, Saturday, we played Crewe Alexandra at home. Yeah. It was absolutely torrential rain.
It was horrible.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was.
And where we sit, it literally was, it just came out, it just kept coming out of nowhere, and we were absolutely soaked. Yeah. But we soldiered on.
We persevered.
We persevered and we soldiered on, and we obviously watched the game. It was an interesting one.
Well, there was no Luke Young in the starting lineup.
Angry.
Yes, I know you were.
I'm angry.
George Evans started. What do you guys make of George Evans' sort of first full game? First game we've got to properly look at him. Chris, what did you make of him?
So I've seen a bit of talk around people thinking that he wasn't as good. I think they might have mentioned it on the commentary that he was trying to find his feet. But honestly, there wasn't many contests that he wasn't involved in, and his passing was pretty good. I think he's got a little bit of a way to go, but he's showing a lot of that experience and promise through the midfield. I like, a little bit controversial, but I like Evans as a sort of Tom O'Connor replacement. I think that would work. I'm firmly in the camp that Luke Young has to start, and I was surprised that he didn't. But yeah, as far as Evans goes, like, his experience in that really shone through, and I'm fully behind it, and I just trust whatever Parky's going to put out, and clearly it worked sort of on the weekend. I would give that, chalk that up as almost a win, because being 10 men on the field against 12, you know what I'm talking about. I like the guy. I think he's showing a lot of promise there. Evans, Fletcher, McLean, I mean, just fantastic signings.
I'm with you there, Chris. I saw not necessarily negative, but people were a little bit underwhelmed by George Evans. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was really good, and I liked the way he is on the ball. I liked, he's very controlled. He got stuck in where he needed to, floated around, finding pockets of space constantly, and I thought he was very good. So I was quite surprised when I saw comments about people being a little bit underwhelmed by him, because I thought, probably not man of the match based on what happened, but I thought he was a very solid performance. I thought he did very well. I was quite excited by.
I think people's opinions would have been completely different if he was the one that scored the 2 goals.
Yes, of course they would.
Yeah.
Of course they would.
So we had Adrian, we had Mullen and Palmer back together. The bromance back together up front. Is that the front 2 that you would have picked?
Yeah. I think as much as I love Dolby, I think he's just not on it this season. So Palmer starting needs to happen as long as he's fit. And I think his replacement every time off the bench should be Fletcher. And keep Mullen on, obviously, as long as he can possibly take it, and then bring Dolby on for maybe, that 5 minutes towards the end. So, no, I loved it. And yeah, you could just tell that they like being on the park together. You could see the photos of the celebrations. You just see them together. It's a real bromance. And I mean, Ollie kissed him the season before. Of course they're going to bromance. So they love each other. But no, honestly, it was so good to see Mullen back into form, kick those 2 goals. And it just shows why we need him on the park, not just as a goal scorer, but even in that Grimsby game that he played, he was just that presence alone, draws off a couple of defenders, and yeah, really helps.
Can I just say, do you remember when he took the corner? We were like, why is Mullen taking a corner? He needs to be by the goal. What's he doing? We thought, oh my God, Mullen, if you can do that corner and get back into that goal before the ball reaches it, kudos to you. But that was a bit of a weird one.
I mean, Chris, what do you think? Obviously, Adrian's just said Mullen and Palmer are the sort of ones he'd start with. Does there come a point when Fletcher starts, do you think? Or are we keeping Fletcher as a bit of a super sub to come on later on?
Jeez, asking the tough questions.
A real tough one.
That's a tough one. I mean, I remember when we first saw that lineup, it was it was a game before Stockport, wasn't it? Where it was
Grimsby.
We saw it was Palmer, Mullen, Lee, and McLean, and we just lost it. That is a golden front line. That attack is promotion winning, is back-to-back winning. And we loved it. So yeah, I just think well, how do you fit Fletcher in with that? Other than anything more than a sub, but if he wants to be more attacking, he can bring Fletcher on and leave Mullen and Palmer on at the same time, and have 3 absolutely quality, high class attackers, just to cause some issues, which I thought he was going to do on the weekend. I think he tried it a little bit, didn't he? Yeah, so honestly, I don't know if Fletcher starts. It's so tough to answer that, but I mean, he's straight class as well. That header into goal was stuff of dreams. That's the stuff you need to clean your sheets with. So, yeah.
We had
trying to keep it as PG as possible.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, I can just see the regret. I can just see the regret in their eyes as they realised, why did we let these guys on? Far out. Why?
we had Arthur Okonkwo starting in goal, which I sort of hinted at a few weeks ago was coming and was going to happen.
Yeah.
Is that Howard done? Or what's happening there? Because you don't mix and match your goalkeepers very much, do you? You sort of pick a goalkeeper and you go with it. So is that Howard done, or what's going to happen? I don't even know what the question is. I'm just going. Blah, 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 blah.
We actually had this discussion last night with our fellow patron members who we have an affectionate name for, but we won't say it.
Chris, just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up.
But we had this discussion, and honestly, I don't think Howard's done. I think the 5-0 loss to Stockport, none of those goals he had any chance of saving. I think maybe both of them are perfect. This is what we spoke about. Both of them are perfectly capable of doing the job. no matter who he puts in. So maybe he alternates it a bit and slowly brings a Conquo in over the next course of, the next couple of months. They might bring a Conquo in more and more to get him more experience, and then maybe sign him after January. But you can see they're planning for the future with a signing like that. So, look, both of them are perfectly capable of doing the job on any day of the week. So, whatever Parky decides to do, we'll back it. So,
I've got a funny feeling, if I'm honest. I think Okonkwo's in now, and I think it's going to stay like that. I don't think we're going to see a change now.
Over the rest of the season?
No.
Well, that's a big,
I'm
big punt, that is.
I'm calling it because I very much think once you put a keeper in, I think the keeper then has to build trust with the defence that's in front of him. And I think
you can't keep swapping and changing.
I just don't think you can,
in
my opinion. And Phil Parkinson's quite an old school manager, who I believe will have that same mentality of going,
maybe.
right, I need to back a horse, and this is my horse. And
Coco's a big horse.
He is a big horse.
whatever.
Yeah, well, we were looking at them. We were looking at them coming out yesterday, and Aaron Hayden must be what, 6'4"?
He's a tall guy, yeah.
Okonkwo is head and shoulders above Aaron Hayden when they were standing side by side. So he is a big guy.
He literally was standing like in between the goalposts and just standing there, just touching it. Just having a chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a big lad. He's a big lad. I think he's still got a little bit to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm just throwing it out there. I think he's there to stay now. I
guess we'll see on Saturday, won't we?
We will. I think so. I mean, it was a rubbish start. We were slow. Crewe looked sharp. The passing looked good. They looked pacier than us. They moved the ball around really quickly. They sort of, all of the early pressure, I would say, was probably them.
Mm-hmm.
They scored after 25 minutes from a corner. I've no idea what happened. The ball come in. It's that horrible zonal marking thing when all the strikers line up in a row, the defenders are sort of there with them. One of them broke away and he was just completely on his own. Boyle tried to get back, didn't really get anywhere near him, didn't even put him under pressure. And then they were 1-0 down. They went 1-0 down, we were 1-0 down. And it looked like a bit of an uphill struggle unless we were going to start sort of, lifting our game a little bit. That was hindered slightly by ever so slightly by Ryan Barnett's red card. Adrian, what did you make of the red card? What were your thoughts on that?
I think I hate being the devil's advocate because everyone's like, it wasn't. I don't know. I've seen the replay, but anytime you slow something down, it does look worse than it is. Yeah, look, I've seen it not paid before, and I've seen it just be a yellow, and I might have been happy with that, but it was probably a red. I hate being that person and being like trying to give reason to it because I was quite angry looking back at it. But yeah, when you slow it down, it does look quite different, and I think, you wouldn't pay it any other week.
So, Chris, obviously we were down to 10 men. I think it was the 40th minute, wasn't it, or something like that?
30-some minute.
Yeah. So, do you think that once Barnett was off the pitch, that we actually, kind of upped our game and we were the better side once we were just 10 men?
So I'll address a couple of things here. First of all, I think from what I can see in my own personal opinion, every single game that Wrexham have played this season, they've started off reasonably slow, almost like they're feeling their way into the game. And as soon as they've got the opponents figured out, that's when the game style starts to change. And Crewe was a perfect example of this because they literally let them have the ball, just sitting off them, working around the working around passing and then getting it figured out. And then they got the ascendancy. And the red card, not a red card. Absolutely not. Bring Barnett back. Anyway,
Rousey is legitimately the most biased pundit I've ever heard of in my life. We lost 5-0 to Stockport, and he's like, "Don't worry, Adrian, back to back, baby." And I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" Like,
Back to back, baby.
but honestly, going down to 10 men, they made the job real hard for themselves, and you could see that they were really running themselves out towards the end of the game. Did they play any better? I think they were sort of playing themselves into the game anyway, so it didn't really matter. And then just sort of gave them a bit of fire and, a bit of a boot up the backside, and they came out firing, especially in that second half. So yeah, I think you could probably have an argument to say that they played better with 10 men, but it's really bloody hard to play with 10 men, that's for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially for an hour. Just to address the red card, I've swung one way and then another. We were at the game and we had a really good view of it from where we were.
Yeah.
As soon as it happened, I turned to my dad and I said, "That's a red." Because it just felt late. It felt a little too high. It wasn't as high as I initially thought it was, but it was a little high. It was, it felt over the ball, sort of just above the ankle. And I turned to my dad and I went, "That's red. He's going." That was my gut reaction. He got sent off and I felt like it was probably the right decision. I watched the replay and then I was like, "Whoa, that's probably not a red. That's probably a yellow," because I think the contact is initiated by the Crewe player missing the ball completely, and then that sort of creates that contact a little bit. I've then since watched it again and again and again and again, and I think it possibly is a red. I don't know, but the thing is, the ref. The fourth, everyone gets to see it once. And if I sort of feel for them a little bit, just in this instance, not for the rest of the game, just in this instance, I sort of feel for them a little bit because my gut reaction straight away was red. And that is from seeing it once. And that's all they get to do is see it once. Interestingly, the ref didn't give it. The linesman didn't give it. It was the fourth official that actually said to the ref, "That's a red." The ref didn't make that decision. The linesman didn't make the decision. It was the fourth official who actually did that.
I just think that it really got under my skin when Tracy ran back on, and I'm just thinking if you're gonna do it, leave no doubt. Just run in straight WWE clothesline, leave no doubt, get that red, knock him out, done.
Yeah. I suppose there's an argument for that. I mean, Mullins scored a great equaliser sort of about 5 or 6 minutes later. Fabulous goal, brilliant. And then
he was back.
He was back. He was 100%. He was back. And then McLean gave a penalty away. Quite soft, perhaps, but what are your guys' thoughts on the penalty that they got just before half time? Adrian, come to you first.
Yeah. So I watched it back. I scrubbed it back. Luckily, iFollow has that. National League TV never had that. So I was able to scrub back and just kind of watch it again. Yeah, as I've said, and I feel like I'm wishy-washy here. I'm like the Switzerland, but it's like I've seen it not paid before. I've seen it paid other times. So, but to be honest, yeah, I don't think it was a pen in my book. How many times has Mullen been taken down in the box? How many times has Palmer in that game alone got taken down by the same means? I don't mind and this is where I go, okay, if that's a pen, that's fine, but be consistent with the other calls. And throughout the season, we've seen that that's not been the case. I know Mullen, obviously not so much this season, but last season had a lot of the time he was taken out and it was just left. But there was the excuse of, it's non-league football. Well, now we're in the Football League and we're having probably worse officiating than we had last year. So it's now starting to get under my skin that it's just not consistent.
Yeah, definitely. I'm right with you there. That it was just poor, especially a little bit later on. That we probably should have had a penalty for the handball, where George Evans went to cross the ball in. His hand is up, it's away from his body, and it hits him on the arm. Whether he's reached out for it, it doesn't matter. It's a penalty, that's the most annoying thing for me is consistency. I don't mind if you want to say that first one for Crewe was a penalty. That's fine. It was very close and it was a little bit 50-50. Probably looked like he dived. I'm not sure there was much contact. But if that's what a penalty is these days, look, I'll suck that up and I'll go with that. But you're going to be given a lot of penalties in games if that is a penalty for me, and that's a problem. But when you get a blatant handball, you've got the ref looking at it from behind, and then you've got the linesman who is literally about 10 yards away, and if neither of you can spot that, you're doing the wrong job.
I put on, I think I commented on Twitter. Oh no, somebody had commented on a post that I'd put on saying about the game, full-time score and all that jazz. And he was just commenting on how dismal the referee was. Yeah. And I just said, I put total amateur and then I put closet Crewe fan. Because that's how it came across. He was just literally against Wrexham constantly during the game.
He got some very big calls wrong for me, right? He got some big calls wrong. And he had the opportunity, and I don't want to dwell on it, to go back to the Ryan Barnett red card. He had an opportunity to make a big decision there and but he didn't even make that decision. Somebody else made that decision for him. Yeah. And that's what grates on me when I hear things like that. It's like you're there to do a job.
What's the point of you being there?
You've done the job terribly.
Yeah.
And the big calls you haven't even made yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of gets
your
me.
Goat.
It does get my goat. Chris.
It got my goat too, and I try and I try and not think too much about how bad that whole refereing linesman team was. I think there's no. It's really testing me not swearing right now. But I think either they grabbed that whole referee team from the geriatrics home, or they were puffing on the Magic Dragon before the game and they were just seeing stuff the whole time, because no joke, that was the worst officiating I've ever seen. Like, go back to the Farmers League, boys. You do not deserve to be refereeing a football league game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, Paul scored an amazing second goal. Their third one was, I had no idea what was going on with that. That was poor. It was poor defending. I don't know what Arthur Okonkwo was doing. He came out way too far.
Oh, he was so far out.
And, it was poor. But, Chris, what do you make of... A lot's been said at the moment, especially on Twitter, when we're down... And when it feels like we need just something just to lift the team and push us forward, a sub here, a sub there. Parky's getting quite a bit of abuse, maybe not as bad as abuse online, about leaving it too late to make changes. How do you sort of feel about that?
Ooh, I'm kind of in that camp on this one. I think... When you look at it, like when you're 5-0 down or even 3-0 down after half time, you've got to make some wholesale changes. And I am kind of in that camp, but I don't profess to be knowledgeable, like have Parky's knowledge of football by any means. So it's hard to say what he's possibly thinking there. And but yeah, I am in that camp. I think he should have made those changes a lot sooner.
It's like the Stockport game. He should have made changes
before
he did at Stockport as well. So he's like, what do we call it? The 65 sweet spot.
Yeah, we
65-minute sweet spot is for Parky.
We have a chat at half-time and people say, I wonder if he's going to make any changes. We're like, it's not the 65th minute yet, so there's no chance. So it does worry me sometimes that he isn't grabbing the ball by the horns a little bit and and going, right, okay, let's stamp our authority on this game. And especially even when we come out in the second half and, you know, Mullins scored, then Lee hit the post, and, you know, we were so close to going ahead. At that point, you sort of go, okay, we are coming back into this and we're doing really well. So let's throw on a sub who's got fresh legs, who can then push us forward a little bit. And it didn't happen. But everything was okay in the end because
Well, it wasn't. We drew.
Mr. Fletcher popped up to make it even Steven right at the end and make it 3-3. Adrian, fair result, 3-3, disappointed, happy? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Rousey touched on it earlier. Having 10 against 12 is never easy. So to take a point away from it is really good. But yeah, look, I talked to Rousey about it this morning, this afternoon, this evening, about, geez, can you imagine if just one of those extra goals had gone in, or maybe they gave Palmer, a pen when he was being taken down in the box, or if Evans, when he crossed it in and there was a blatant handball that was called, we would have won 4-3. Like, I keep thinking about it, but it's not a sane thing to do because you can't change it, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I would go with disappointed, really.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, disappointed. It should have been a win. It felt like a win because we had everything against us. Everything you could possibly imagine against us was against us. So in that aspect, it felt like a win, but it also felt like we were somewhat a little bit robbed. I'm not gonna hide my feelings on that or beat around the bush. I'm gonna call a spade here, and we were straight up flipping robbed.
You really held back there, guys. You should be really proud because anytime that was on anyone else's pod, he would have just ruined it. So he's just done a really good job there. Well done, Rousey. Round of applause.
Turning over a new leaf.
That's it.
At the moment, we are conceding on average this season in the league 2.3 goals per game. Now, that average, that's more than the team that finished bottom of the Premier League last season. That's also more than the team who finished bottom of the Championship last season, and the team who finished bottom of League One, and the team who finished bottom of League Two, and the team who finished bottom of the National League, and the team who finished bottom of the National League South, and the team who finished bottom of the National League North. I mean,
Wow.
we have an atrocious goals per game conceding ratio at the moment. The 92 league clubs, we are currently second for goals conceded. We are only one goal better off than Sutton, who are bottom of League Two and the lowest ranked team of the 92. If we could continue conceding goals at this rate, we will concede 106 this season.
Ooh.
How much of a concern is how many goals we're conceding, guys?
I think you got to sort of, like, numbers only paint a certain picture in my eyes. So you got to look at it. We had Foster for the first couple games, and he has admitted himself that he was way off. He let in loads of goals that he probably should have saved. So we got to take that into account. And then obviously Mark Howard came in. He had a few clean sheets. And if that had continued, it would have been great. And then we had obviously the Stockport slip up. So I think you've got to look at it. You know, the numbers only tell part of the story here. And I think I don't see us conceding 106 goals. I see us really building into it and getting used to it. And, you know, we're probably going to have the odd Stockport result here and there now, or like at Halifax last year. I said Stockport felt like Halifax. But yeah, I'm not particularly too worried about it because I know that those numbers only really paint part of the story. So I'll leave that one at that and send that down to Adrian.
there's a reason that our backgrounds are night and day, because our differences in opinion are night and day every time. It's legitimately the reason. But honestly, it is concerning, because any statistic, as much as I do understand where Rouse is coming from, it isn't the full picture, because he's correct. We are still on a goal difference of 0 because we've scored 23 goals, but we've conceded 23 goals. So if we didn't have that attacking prowess, I'd probably be very, very, very concerned, because we probably would be bottom of the table, but we're not, which is good. So the way I look at it is now is, you've got a Tozer who's off a little bit, and that's completely fair because he's going through what he's going through. Aaron Hayden's only just come back from injury, and even then he's still playing pretty well. And we've got Will Boyle, who's yet to fully adjust to the squad. I think the dark times it'll clear up a little bit. I think we won't concede the 106. But if we do keep on this track, when we get out of this October month, because October is a pretty rough run for us, if we get out of October and we're conceding those against Forest Green, if we're conceding it against Sutton, then I'll be asking questions.
So, moving on from the Crewe game, we've got some people who've been in touch about the Crewe game. We've got Eric, and he said, "What a game! Score certainly doesn't reflect the heart that went into that draw. Small mistakes cost us the win and the rubbish refereeing." Merculago. "The referee was awful, one of the worst I've seen this season. I don't mind, fair, but he was dreadful."
He was, yes.
He
So,
was.
2 away games just to touch on quickly. This week we've got Mansfield Town on Tuesday the 3rd of October, 7:45 kickoff, UK time, obviously. It's available for all fans on iFollow. It's at Field Mill.
I just saw the words "only" and "fans" then.
Chris,
Yes.
Chris, you've had an influence here, mate. Rousey, this is your doing. You've corrupted them. What have you done?
I am so sorry, Ryan. I am so sorry.
It's at Field Mill, or the One Call Stadium, which has got a capacity of 9,186. It's 100 miles away, so roughly 2 hours 20. We've sold out our 1,721 ticket allocation. They finished 8th on 75 points last season, 1 place outside the playoffs, on the same points as Salford in 7th. But Salford's goal difference was plus 18 and Mansfield's was plus 17. So they missed out on the playoffs by 1 goal. They drew 1-1 with Gillingham on Saturday. They've won 4, drawn 6 and lost none this season. They're 5th in the league, 2 points ahead of us. So very quickly, Siân, prediction?
Prediction?
Yeah.
3-0.
Wrexham?
Obviously.
I'm going to go 1-0 Wrexham. What about you, Adrian?
I feel like I'm going to be negative now, but I was thinking a draw, to be honest, but 1-0 does sound about a nice little change up. So I'll go with 1-0 as well.
Yeah. Chris?
Why is it we've always got to get these teams when they're starting to find form? I think 3-2.
3-2. Nice.
3-2 to Wrexham.
It's quite apt that you're, because I think me and Chris are like on the same page. We're like the positive of the group.
Yeah.
And you two are the negative Nancys of the group.
No, I'm just a realist. Just a realist.
I'm a realist.
Yeah.
A realist. Thank you. I've been telling Chris will literally say to me, he'll text me and he'll be like, "Can you just cheer up, mate?" And I'll be like, we just lost 5-0 to Stockport. How am I supposed to cheer up?
I'm exactly the same. You've got to find positive in everything, haven't you? Otherwise, you just drive yourself mental.
Well, their top scorer this season is Davis Caylord-Dunn. He's scored 8 so far this season, which is pretty good for this early in the season. He played for Wrexham in 2020.
Did he?
You might recognise the name. He only played 6
No,
games.
I don't.
Blinking, you'd have missed him, to be perfectly honest.
Well, that's why I don't know him.
We then got Crawley on Saturday the 7th. So tell us a little bit about them.
Saturday the 7th of October. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock, obviously UK time. It's available for international fans only as normal at a 3 o'clock game on iFollow. We are away at the Broadfield Stadium. 2 away games. That's so nasty.
I know.
233 miles away, which is roughly about 4 hours.
Is it?
Yeah.
You like the time?
I prefer the time
Yeah.
because I don't know. 200 and whatever miles could be just Chester.
Yeah.
We've not sold out at the
No.
moment of our 1,346 allocation.
No.
So tickets are still available. So get yourself over to e-ticketing on the Wrexham website, and let's get a good crowd up there. We can't go because it's Crawley, and
Yeah.
unfortunately it's a bit too far away for us on a Saturday with commitments and dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
So we finished 22nd. They finished 22nd on 46 points last season. 3 points above relegated Hartlepool.
But they are flying this season. They're absolutely fine. They beat Sutton 3-0 on Saturday. They've won 6, drawn 2, lost 2. They're second in the league. 4 points ahead of us. So I'm going to go for a statement win. Right? Statement win away to Crawley. I think we're going to win 4-2.
I'm going to go 3-2.
Oh, what?
What?
Get lost. Adrian, what do you think?
I'm going the draw for this one. This was the one I was a bit more worried about because, like Rousey said, why do we have to come into these teams when they found form? I'd probably go 2-2. I just think we're so good at conceding, aren't we? But we're also good at scoring. So even that up 2-2.
Chris, what about you?
It's always tough predicting 2 matches in the future because it depends how we do on Tuesday, or Wednesday. I'm going to say I don't know if this one's going to be our match. I think we're going to lose 3-2.
Oh, Chris, where has that positivity gone?
I've never heard it. Honestly, this isn't
it'll either be a
Rousey,
draw
guys.
or
This
a
is a
loss, though.
doppelganger. This is not Rousey. He's never in his life ever called a loss. I
would
don't
love
think
a
I've ever heard
statement
you even
game like
think
that,
of it.
Hopefully you're wrong.
shocked.
Yeah,
Shock.
hopefully. Right, guys, quiz time. 'Cause yes, it is quiz time. It is, as always, 3 statements. 2 are lies.
Hey.
1 is the truth. All you have to do is pick out the truth. Are we ready?
Right, Adrian, mate, you can redeem yourself here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I honestly went into this and was like, if I go 2 for 2 bottom of the table of this, I will be jumping off the nearest bridge. So let's hope the best. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, let's hope.
Right, first one. Looking back at some of the players we have signed since Ryan and Rob's arrival. Number 1, we signed Liam McAlinden from Morecambe. Number 2, we signed Anthony Ford from Walsall. Number 3, we signed Bryce Hosanna from Bradford City.
Ooh, I'm going to go Liam McAlinden.
Liam McAlinden from Morecambe.
Yeah.
Adrian.
I'm going with Bryce.
Bryce from Bradford. And Chris.
Got to back Adrian on this one. Bryce.
You're going Bryce. Okay, so Bryce Hosanna came from Leeds, not from Bradford. He did play for Bradford, but we got him from Leeds.
Oh, see that?
Anthony Ford did play for Walsall, but we got him from Oxford, not Walsall. So Siân, Liam McAlinden did come from Morecambe. So
Hey.
Great questions. Well done. That was really well. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he played for Bradford. And then it's like, no, you're right. He didn't come from there.
No. Number 2. There have been a wealth of goals in our games this season, putting it mildly. We have conceded more goals in the opening 10 minutes of games than any other 10-minute period in a game. Number 2, we have scored more goals in the first half than we have in the second half. Or number 3, we have conceded more goals this season than we did in the first 5 months of last season.
Ooh, I'm going to go with that one, the last one.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Adrian?
Yeah, number 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and Chris?
Number 3.
Number 3. You are all correct.
Yay!
Yes, we have conceded. That fact was true before the Crewe game. That was already true prior to Crewe. So yeah, I wrote that in last week. So
2-2.
You've
2
got
for 2.
2 for 2. Well done.
2 for 2.
Well done.
The third one. We have just played our 10th league game of the season against Crewe. Our 10th league game last season saw 12 goals. Number 2, our 10th league game last season saw 6 goals. Or number 3, our 10th league game last season saw no goals.
I'm going to go with the last one.
No goals.
Yeah.
Okay, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm going to go with it too.
No goals.
Last one.
Chris?
Jesus. No goals.
No goals. Okay, so the 12 goals, which everyone dismissed, that was obviously we played Barnet 7-5. That was the 12 goals. It wasn't that game though. We beat Torquay 6-0 on our 10th game last season. Okay, number 4. We have two away games this week. Of course, you were listening when I told you how far both clubs were away. Siân even read one of them out herself. So, what is the total round trip for Wrexham fans this week? By round trip, I mean Wrexham to Mansfield, back to Wrexham to Crawley, back to Wrexham. Wrexham fans will travel a total of 666 miles this week. Number 2, Wrexham fans will travel a total of 777 miles this week. Or number 3, think you know where this is going? Wrexham fans will travel a total of 888 miles this week.
Well, my maths is atrocious and I can't count that quickly, so I'm just going to say 777.
777, Adrian?
I'm going with the 800.
888, okay. And Chris?
Oh, testing my knowledge of England. 777.
777, you are all wrong. It was the number of the beast. It was 666. Yes.
666.
Oh, because it's, yeah, okay. Yeah, I just went, oh, yeah, I'm just imagining you're going up, down, up, down, up, down. And I'm like, yeah, 800, yeah.
Okay, the last one. Random facts. Our highest home attendance last season would be our lowest so far this season. Or number 2, before Paul Mullin arrived at the club, no one with the initials PM had ever scored for Wrexham before. Or number 3, demolition of the Kop began on the exact same date as building work started on the Mould Road stand 25 years apart.
Well, work hasn't started on on the Kop, has it?
Demolition of the Kop.
Oh, right, okay. I'm going to go with the Paul Mullin thing because,
Paul Mullin?
I mean, that's just a complete guess because I have no idea of past people that played.
Okay.
So.
Adrian?
What was the first one again? Sorry.
So our highest home attendance last season would be our lowest so far this season.
No. Okay. So can I go with number 3?
Number 3, the demolition of the Kop began on the exact same date as the building work on the Mould Road, just 25 years apart. Yeah. Okay, Chris?
Yeah, I'm with Adrian on this one.
The Kop. Siân, you have done very well this week. Before Paul Mullin arrived at the club, nobody with the initials PM had ever scored for Wrexham before.
Ever?
Nope.
That's so
never.
weird.
That question only took me an hour to read through every score of Wrexham ever. Yeah, you know, it's just what I do.
Damn. I'm like thinking of all the names that I could like think of that just people have brought up, and I'm like, they didn't score.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us this week, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Adrian, tell everyone where they can find you. Bring them to you.
That's it. We're in Australia. Rousey's address is so we are at 2beardsmedia.com. You can go to there and you can find out all our links. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify as 2 Beards, a podcast, and Wrexham AFC. And finally, probably our one we're trying to push the most because we want to catch up to our lovely friends at the 1K mark is our YouTube page, which is at 2 Beards Media, but you can also find it at 2 Beards Media, 2 Beards, a podcast, and Wrexham AFC. We should have shortened that one, but anyways.
Yeah. And we also We also have an OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/
Jesus.
two beards, feet pics, and Wrexham.
We did
AFC.
so well, Chris, this entire time. He didn't have to bleep out nothing. And now look, guys, if you don't know, he's had to take this out, but Chris has got his shirt off right now and he's just flashing everyone and he's waving it around his head. And poor Ryan has to now cut that out. So good job.
No, thank you guys so much.
We need to just say as well,
yeah,
even though we have reached the 1K mark,
yeah,
please continue to subscribe,
yes,
like, share.
Please do.
And let's help Two Beards and a Podcast get to 1,000 as well.
We will link everything of theirs down below if you're watching this on YouTube. So their YouTube channel, all that will be down in the description. So just in case you didn't catch what Adrian said there, just go down in the description. And thank you so much for joining us again this week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.